Springfield. My name is Greg Lee. I'm joined by Rachel Lee. Today we are talking about conscious creation. There's not very many people. That's it. There's not very many people in here right now, so we'll probably vamp for a little bit as we build up to it. But so this will be kind of an interactive class, especially the smaller the groups, the more interactive it is, I've found. And what I wanted to start with is the idea that are what I would consider divine birthright, right? Like as we incarnate into this plane, we as a fractal or a hologram of all it is, of the all, being part of the all, have the, we call it blessing, call it a curse, call it a responsibility, but a power that we can affect and create change in this physical reality. And the way in which we do that is kind of threefold. Is the first way is the most subtle, kind of. It is the like what you feel and what you be and what you are. The next way is what you think, and so as you consciously direct and hone and focus your attention towards something, change in any form. And then the last one is how you be, the actions that you take, the actual physical actions that you take in this quote-unquote dimension, however you want to think about it. Within time, moving your body, laying a brick. These are things that are done. And I guess my first point that I was kind of intending to make is this is very common knowledge, or at least pop culture type of things. Conscious creation, you create your own reality, all of this stuff. These are tropes that are shared by people like the New Age movements all over social media, all over everything. I mean, there's whole books on it. Can't go a social media post without saying, these are traps a little bit, but the big point that I wanted to hit on first is one of the biggest traps that I have seen people falling into, and that is kind of the main parallel here is like the law of attraction. And as we talk about the law of attraction, it is challenging for people to utilize it effectively. And as to the best of my knowledge, to the best of my observational experience, the difficulties and the pitfalls come when we are not. The teachings, I guess, I had noticed are not talking about all three forms of conscious creation, which all have to work together, or else the whole thing falls down and results can't be realized. And a lot of, at least the overt law of attraction, the secret, these types of things, these types of teachings are manifest what you want, think about what you want, make a vision board for what you want, and you think about it and you meditate on it every day. You look in the mirror and you say, I'm going to be wealthy, or I am wealthy, better yet. I am wealthy, I have the car I want, whatever the goal is that you're attempting to manifest and attract upon yourself. And that's all well and good, but that is only one of the legs of a three-legged stool. The next one, which is arguably easier or arguably harder, depending on who you are and what you're doing, the action. I'm going to use the metaphor, or the idea of being fit, of getting strong and healthy physically. You can think about it all you want. And interesting thing, that will actually work. There's been those studies where you think every day about lifting weights and you actually gain muscle mass, and it does some work, but that's not going to do the same thing as actually getting off your keister and going to the gym, right? The actual action is going to produce results in time much quicker and much more effectively than simple thoughts, because thoughts carry no matter. Thoughts carry no actual weight in this reality. But what is the most important of the stool, which is I'm gonna refer to like creation itself as a three-legged stool. You've got your thoughts, you've got your actions, and then you've got your beliefs, your being, your feeling, the internal, ineffable, divine quality of who you actually are. The capital S self, or maybe the lowercase s self. I'm not going to point a bunch of fingers on what it is, or even care. But it's the part that's not your thoughts, and it's the part that's not your doing. It's who you are, and that part generally has to come first. Because in order for you to say, get up every day and go to the gym, you have to be the person that gets up every day and goes to the gym before your body will follow suit, right? I mean, I've tried this lots and lots of times. You think, I need to lose weight, or I need to get fit, and so you can think it. You can write out your whole plan. This is all ego stuff. This is the thinking part, which is, yes, you have to have that. And then you can even go. You can think it, and then you can do it. But if you don't be it, it doesn't last very long, at least in my experience. These are the things that actually solidify the changes that you intend to make. So I use my ego, the thinking part, to kind of cast forward into the future. Find the vision of what you want to be. And it's very easy to keep talking about working out. I see a fit, buff, Greg, right? Like, yeah, I'm super sexy. Now that's somewhere in the future. Yeah, yes, if you want to comment on that.
Just like a couple of years ago or so, I developed this, frozen shoulder thing, and I went to the doctor and everything.
Brenda, you gotta talk into it.
Took some medicine and took some pain pills and stuff, but that didn't really work. So they gave me some instructional exercise to do, and I've been doing them 3 times a week ever since. And now, if I get lax like it's been hot the last few days and haven't been doing it, I can tell the difference that I need to keep doing the exercises.
Yep. That's great. Healing, personal healing, is a huge part of conscious creation. Like these are tools, and remembering all three. For example, you have, we'll say a wound, a shoulder that hurts, or some aspect that is, we'll call it like this is a very Myrtle Fillmore type story, right? Has some malady, fibromyalgia, or I don't even remember what hers was, like tuberculosis. Well, yeah. So some malady is affecting you. Taking the action, say going to the doctor, or doing your stretches, or doing the physical work to get better. You get to rewrite your brain a little bit as you think your mantras. This is an actual, in your neuroplasticity, you rewrite your thought patterns by saying, I am healed. I appreciate you, leg. I am better. I am well. These things, but the trap is not to think or rewrite yourself into I am getting better. I am going to be healed. But I am healed, and that's the being part that holds it all together. Is the I am healed, and then if you be it, think it, and do it, it all is cohesive and gets to carry forward into like present, into the now, and into the future.
So in that example, she wasn't, with tuberculosis, she wasn't able to be it first. So she did the other two things and then eventually brought around the being. Okay. Originally you said that it worked the other way around. So that was what my question originally was do you think if you can't actually be it, that you can bring it into the being through the other two?
Fake it till you make it? Yes. So Pythagoras loves triangles. He's a triangle guy. And the neat thing about a triangle is if you have any two of the sides, you also have the third. It just comes into being.
So it's a triangle of creation.
Absolutely. Yes. That's amazing how that works. But yeah, those are the three ways that it can be done.
Three-legged stool.
Yeah, so if you're just thinking about getting up off the sofa, nothing will happen. Right? But like getting either be the person, think about it until you rewrite your own narrative until you be the person that gets up off the sofa, and then naturally you will. Or you think about it, and then you get up off the sofa and suddenly realize that you are the person that gets up off the sofa. Like these things, they all work hand in hand. And if you are the person naturally that gets up off the sofa, you get up off the sofa, then by definition you will think about these things. Like it all comes really nicely together. And to back to like the law of attraction stuff, telling people just think your way to happiness and wealth and health and healing can't possibly work. They have to get two of the three before the third and the whole will become realized. Yes, realized. No. So yeah, three-legged stool. If without any of them, without all three, it falls down and doesn't function very well. Anyone want to chime in? Or you got anything?
I've got a comment.
Yeah. Load up.
Trouble. Several years ago, Brenda, I had a frozen shoulder deal happening. And I didn't go to the doctor. It had just kind of come up. And I'd actually had something in the other shoulder previous and got those exercises that she got. Anyway, so I was sitting out in the backyard one morning and I was just kind of feeling into the shoulder and what was going on. And I had this like really cool past life kind of vision come through my brain or my whatever. And I was a soldier in like a early Christian war. And I was holding a shield. And I was holding it hard and stiff. And then the scenario unfolded as to what happened. I put down the shield, I died, and put down the shield, and my shoulder got better immediately.
Wow.
As soon as I put down the shield,
That's so neat.
it blew me away too.
Yeah, no kidding.
First of all, I'm talking about Myrtle today and her healing. So, of course. And I love the three-legged stool or the triangle because I was thinking about with AA, people don't necessarily go into AA believing that they can get sober. So they don't have the belief yet, but it's through the action that they're taking that that can help them move forward in that and to get sober. And I thought about too, when something physically happens to us, all of a sudden we're very motivated. And we start doing the things that we had been thinking about before. And so I oftentimes think, I need to get there before something happens to my body, so that I'm not having to do it for that purpose. So just a thought.
Absolutely. The biggest struggle for a lot of this is time. As we move and live within this actual physical reality, this physical dimension, what keeps we think of a new car, and actually literally manifests instantly outside of time. Everything happens instantly, not in this, quote, dimension. Now within this dimension we have inertia. Time essentially weighs us down, and instead of something happening instantly, which it does still, it must proceed in a coherent way towards us through time and space-time.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I just want to chime in here and say that I think that this actually is where a lot of us get stuck. You have to be very subtly in tune with yourself to work. One has to be very in tune with themselves and personally aware to be able to work on your embodiment of an idea or of a goal or a mindset. You have to be very, very in tune with yourself. And so you can go backwards. You can start there. There are introverts and people that spend a lot of time alone and in solitary spaces so that they can sit and they can meditate. And so it's possible to work that direction. But a lot of us are working from the physical side of things. And because physical is the hardest and requires the most effort and inertia and energy expenditure, if we get exhausted there, sometimes it's really hard to pull back and know ourselves in a subtle way because we're exhausted. Physically exhausted, and that puts barriers in place to the thinking and then the embodying. Just wanted to point that out.
I think it's
What I'm starting to understand is this the logical mind that gets between us and what can be.
Yes.
The thing about it is that Christ was walking around doing miracles. Do you think he could do that through a logical mind? If he didn't feel that the manifestation of miraculous things could happen, then without that belief, it's like you can't walk off a cliff thinking that gravity does, but it doesn't exist. Gravity only exists because of us where we're at. But there are people who we have known that can raise up off of the ground and float in space. Actual people who could actually have done, who has done this. Do you think a logical mind could have done the same thing? Even though we're all capable of the exact same thing. There is no difference in any of us.
I would say that a synthesis, body, mind, and soul all working together would be required to perform something like that. I always enjoy talking about there's the actual act of creation, and then like knowing what you want is great, and then knowing how to accomplish it is great. And the logical mind is fantastic for the understanding both the actual underlying mechanics of, say, a miracle. If you know all things are energy, and if I reconfigure the frequency of the molecules on that table, I create a loaf of bread. Knowing that you can do that and knowing how are two different things. And believing you can do it is the third thing. And so in order to do something like that and perform, say, a miracle in that way, all three must be present. And so for most people, myself will say included, the logical mind is the barrier between between what I see and what I think.
The physical
What
world.
I see, exactly.
I mean, I'm just as guilty as you are. I mean, I'm here right now. It's not like I just blew off into space. Okay.
I'd like to see that. Not in a bad way, but
Well, you know.
I always find a way to tie everything back to the law of one somehow. But according to the law of one, the part of the rules of playing this game that we call humanity is we have to follow the chemical subset that we're given. So on Earth, the laws of nature. So on Earth, everything on Earth has to follow the same laws. Obviously, we have exceptions to every rule. There are miracles. But for the most part, we are given these tools as part of our rules to our game. So if we're trying to throw off the rules, it may not work as well. But if we work with the rules, we're working with the natural law of our creation.
Continuity, basically. coherence. That's what makes things make sense. Everything, like every point in time in our history, you can track all the way back the causes and effects to where you are now. And if you break it, our whole reality breaks. And so the laws are set in place, kind of the game rules that we all play under, and one of those is continuity, cause and effect, coherence. All of these are great words for, like, I can't make a ball appear right here. Quantum physics. So quantum physics says I probably could make a ball appear right here. But we would already see all of the reasons why I was able to do that. Or either I would, you would, we would all agree that this is possible.
Or it was more likely someone kicked the ball as you were trying to summon the ball.
Kick the ball through a dimension and just appear there.
You got this kind of logic, but this is where, because
None of that in here.
I'm in the same thing as in trying to really feel and be what I'm hearing now. Is it because we limit ourselves with that kind of thinking, even though we may think that there is another being as who we are? Are we limiting the one thing because it's all one thing? There's nothing else that anything can be made from except the one thing, correct? So are we limiting ourselves in the part of all that is by using the language we use to convince ourselves that, oh, well, this is how the game is played?
Oh, absolutely.
I think we all signed up to limit ourselves.
Well,
sure.
I understand we all signed up, but at some point, there's where you can get to a point where you can look at this and say, no, I'm not that. There is a point that you can get there. See, it's all coming very fast.
Oh yeah.
It's all going to get here.
In a lot of teachings, the point of that realization is you shifting to another dimension.
Yeah.
You transcend this one outside of the third dimension. Sometimes that happens when some people think that's the reincarnation cycle. You could die and then you don't come back into three-dimensional reality. You could shift into a higher one because you know. And if you break the rules, if you figure out the game, it's hard for you to do it again because you'll already know.
I haven't broke the rules. I'm just saying. Just simply because
I'm not sure what rules we're talking about.
the rules of gravity.
Gravity.
The laws of nature.
Now here's the thing.
Those
See,
kind of rules.
through quantum physics, gravity doesn't exist.
Well,
There are other things that exist in quantum physics
Right.
that you can prove. But the one thing that we know now that is not correct is gravity. It's
Right.
only a figment, it is only a projection of ourselves in order to not to have to think, well, I'm taking another step, stay there. I'm taking another step, stay there. It's just one of those things that we don't have to think of as we walk through this world, correct?
Yeah, so the way that I understand it, gravity is just a byproduct of time. And
Space.
because we are moving through time and space, we generate this force that we call and refer to as gravity. It's a rule that we have to abide by as long as we're living in three-dimensional reality. If you break that rule, if you transcend gravity, you break the continuity. Yes, right. So, anyway, back to you.
Okay, well, I'm just throwing this out there.
Yes.
Okay, it's just, because as you can see, I'm still firmly planted on all it is, correct?
Thank goodness. Y'all flying about.
We would all be about at the same time, it's just,
But don't you remember as a kid pretending to be Superman and you actually you flew?
yeah, I did. I jumped
Yeah.
off the house and it hurt.
That's the one that called it the same thing.
But I mean, no, never mind.
Sure. Maybe you should take this away from me.
So do we want to go into like practical examples, like getting a new job, or I I don't know, making a lifestyle change, or like, is anyone have any interest in that, or do we
Yes.
like the more?
I can give you an example of, another example with me, other than the shoulder that happened.
Yeah, right.
I drive an old Subaru, and before the one I have now, I drove another old Subaru. It was an '01, and I drove it for several 100,000 miles, and it was time to trade it in, finally. And I went to this used car lot that sold a lot of Subarus, so, okay, cool. And it was in the neighborhood. All right, so when I'm looking at them, and there's one that's a 5, and I keep trying to talk the guy down on it, and he won't come down, and he won't come down, and he won't come down, and here we are now finally at 6 months, my time is over. I ended up buying the car from him. And then I had it for like 6 months when it was time to go license it. And it was running out, and I wasn't happy with the car. This went wrong with it, that went wrong with it, this went wrong with it. There were all these recalls on it. It was like, nah. Anyway, so it's like the last day, and like 5 blocks from this guy in my house, from my house. And so I'm like, okay, the perfect car is going to be there for me in Islam. Don't have to worry about it. I don't have to try and talk him down. And I just really got into the feel of it, and I felt it all the way to the car lot. And yeah, I got there, nothing much had changed. The same cars were there that were before. And I'm sitting in his office, and we're starting to argue about price again. And as I'm doing that, here comes this car hauler vehicle, you know, with the double layers. And right on the top in the middle is my car. The exact car. It just pulled up, and I said, you know what? I think that's my car right there. I took it home, got it. What was that thing where you call up and find out how many accidents it's been in? Yeah, Carfax. I got a Carfax, single owner. They had done all the maintenance on it forever. It was an '04, where the one I had was an '05. And I bought the car. I just traded it across for what I had in the other one already. And that's my baby out there.
Wow. That's cool. That's cool.
See?
But it was like do or die on that one, you know?
That's a cool
Yeah.
story.
And this is how fast it can work.
Of course.
Yeah, because I
We
spent
are-
6
we are-
months bitching.
We are walking in our excitement. If we were doing our passion, this is what we know inside ourselves, that this is how it's going to be. It all starts just falling into place as we walk through it.
And you could track the continuity and the coherence of that car showing up at that time all the way back to the manufacturer and before. You know, like it was scheduled to be delivered that day because it was on another lot and all of this
There you
stuff.
go.
And by holding the vision right now in the now, you altered the past entirely to bring these events about to coincide into the now. You changed the past and you changed the future in the now by holding your vision.
Yeah,
And
something.
that's conscious creation.
It wasn't very conscious for the 6 months before, though. It was one complaint after the next, you know?
Maybe that was a
And
part of
didn't-
it.
And it didn't work. It didn't work for 6 months.
Nothing worked, it just kept getting worse. Actually, it worked
Yeah.
perfectly.
In 2004, I went to the fairgrounds up here to the RV show, and I seen this Montana fifth wheel there, and I made a mental note to myself. I said, someday I would like to own one of these. So, fast forward from 2004 to 2012, I was going on my way to a vote rehab meeting, and I went by this car lot, and there was same model Montana was on this car lot. and it's been far damaged, and it needed, a major remodel. But it was, I looked at it and I said, no serious structural damage, just cosmetics, and I said, I can fix it. I can customize it to my own likings. So I went in and talked to him and made a deal that I would, a couple of days I'd come and pay for it and take it home. So I did, and I bought it, took it home, and I've been living in it since 2012. And it was what I mentally told myself. I said, someday this will happen. I don't know when, but it will happen someday.
It'd be my.
So it is.
And so it is.
Oh, great. A part of this I'd like to hit on too is something I talk about a whole lot, is the universe is a mirror. The universe is going to reflect who and what you are. And that is that ineffable stuff, the spirit or part of the triangle, right? The spirit leg of the chair is, and that's the being. Will be a lot of law of attraction stuff will have you looking at the mirror and telling it needs to change in some way. Either I need to be wealthier or fitter or this, and that's the create your own reality manifestation thing is looking at the mirror and saying this needs to change. Now, the universe will happily agree with you in everything that you do, and it will go, yes, it does need to change. You're right. Forever and ever and ever, it will know that it needs to change. Now, changing yourself and changing your being will change the reflection in the mirror in a way that doesn't leave a lack or a longing or a need to change. It happens instantly, and your reflection is updated after your own self changes its projection of itself, right? And so knowing you are wealthy makes you wealthy in the reflection. Looking in the reflection of yourself and saying, I need to be wealthy, will echo, yes, you need to be wealthy. And the universe will give you more and more and more examples of why you need to be wealthy, rather than more and more examples of I am wealthy. Yes. And now that's the mantras, the meditation, the rewriting your thought patterns, the neuroplasticity stuff, Joe Dispenza. These are the types of things that change you internally and change that. The trap is looking in your reflection so often and so hard that you don't see the changes made manifest in this physical reality fast enough. You get impatient, you get bored, you're like, I am wealthy. Am I wealthy?
I know. Damn it.
No, I'm not. None of this works. This is all hooey.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, dang it.
Yeah.
I didn't find $20 on them.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you see yourself as wealthy, you can in an instant know that you are, and then you have a responsibility to look around at your life and go, well, heck, I'm already wealthy, so where's all my money? Oh, I gave it to the coffee shop. Oh, I have been on a shopping spree, or oh, I have a lot of subscriptions. And like, if this is what wealth looks like for me, where does all my money go? And how do I restructure my life? Because obviously I don't need more money, I am already wealthy. I already have that. So what does my life look like now that I'm so wealthy, and how do I rearrange? That can be a path. And the more that you do that, the more money that you will have, because you're managing your money so well now, that abundance just starts showing up. Now you can be plugging in, and you can be spending your money and giving your money in a way that it comes back to you. And you're affecting your reality in a really physical way, and you get to watch and delight in that process because you're embodying it, and you feel wealthy when you even drop $5 somewhere, when you help out someone on the side of the road. You feel wealthy because you know you're wealthy, and you can afford to give him $5 because you know everything comes back. And so there's no hesitation.
That's the action part, the being into action. As you become what your vision holds, your actions will necessarily change instantly. Now, this is the part that I struggle with. I'll tell you all. Like, I know intellectually that I would like to work out more than 1 hour a week or more than 0 hours a week, right? Well, I'll start with 0. I know that I would like to work out more than 0 hours a week. This would be cool, and it's good for me, and all of these I can very easily intellectualize. But I can tell, based on both my action, I can tell on my actions that I am not being the person that works out more than 0 hours a week. Right. I only have
Lifting children, that helps a lot.
I just recently started that workout regimen, but I only have on this example, I only have one side of the triangle, and the other one won't. They won't naturally manifest until I either take the actions or be the person that takes the actions. Right.
Or tell yourself you already are being that person.
Yeah, and so right now my thing is writing into my own brain and thought patterns. Ideally, I'm working on being the person that works out more than 0 hours a week.
For instance, right now in conversation, he could say, I am lifting my children more and playing more physical games with them, because he did already decide that last week. And so he could acknowledge right now that he is already being that person. But this is how the hesitancy shows up. This is the resistance. And sometimes we're afraid. What if this is me wealthy? Oh God, I thought it was gonna look so different, you know? Well, wrestle with that. It doesn't, you're here. Are you okay?
So talking about that, when you say I thought it would look so different, we have the ability. I'm sorry, you got it.
You're fine. I have all sports.
We have the ability to hold a vision that looks forward in time. And so if you say, I thought it would look like a mansion with a Lamborghini. We'll do these. Do these basic ass tropes, you know, the cliches. Mansion with a Lamborghini, and that's what I thought wealth would look like. Holding that, as you see that vision some point in the future, you have to, in the now, become and be the person. Almost shift timelines is how I talk about it. You will change yourself, alter your trajectory, and be the person who already has accomplished the mansion and the Lamborghini just some point in the future. And as you be that, you will necessarily, in order to make it made manifest, you will take the actions that the person who will soon own a mansion and a Lamborghini will take, and think the way that a person who will soon own a mansion and a Lamborghini will think. Otherwise, you haven't actually switched timelines. You've only been thinking it.
So you're telling me I should hire a maid?
Maybe.
Sounds great.
Depends on what you're manifesting.
That would be the first step.
What's the goal? If the goal is a clean house, yes.
Maybe.
Like
No,
that.
to feel wealthy.
Oh.
So wealth is a clean house. A maid is.
Wealth is a maid to clean the house.
Wealth is not needing to clean it.
I love
These are.
Maybe wealth is not needing to clean your house because you have few items and your house doesn't get messy. Maybe wealth is my house is clean all the time because I have a self-cleaning toilet and I have a
I've been
robotic
telling
vacuum
myself
cleaner.
that for a couple of years now, and so it's probably not very clean.
There's a lot of ways to scratch the itch, and I think when you actually sit with yourself and determine what it is that you're manifesting and why you're not getting it, a lot of times it comes down to, well, I expected it to look like this, and that's you controlling a how and manipulating the circumstances. And if you want it to go in a different direction and you're like, oh, is this really how I am manifesting this thing? That's not as cute as I wanted. Fix it. Like, now you can see it. So what adjustments are you making? Maybe now you're opening a savings account. It's a small adjustment, makes a big impact. A 1% pivot in your direction when you're mapping a triangle is a huge step, leap.
Yeah, Cedar.
I was literally about to say, we get too caught up in controlling the how.
Yes.
But one way that, and it's kind of similar to what Rachel was saying a minute ago about how you shift your timelines. So if you're saying, okay, I live in abundance, I live in that flow, where is it? That's why people keep gratitude journals.
Yes.
So like, I found a quarter on the ground. That was literally free money from the universe. My punch card for Dancing Mule was filled out and I didn't even remember. Free coffee. So it's just things like that. Or I was able to pick up a whole bunch of trash in my parking lot. Now my parking lot, I'm out of business. Now my parking lot looks so much better. That's going to bring in so much more money. Just like
Yes.
living in that flow is teeny, tiny little mindset changes that really build on who you are as a person, which is that being aspect.
Yeah.
And then another story of practical application.
Yeah.
So I was hosting this girls group and we made a money bowl. And we each wrote down things that we were calling in for our abundance bowl and our abundance blessing that we were doing. And one of the things I wrote is, my cup is overflowing so that I can fill other people's cup. Well, during that, at the ritual we were doing, my phone went off a couple times, and when I opened it afterwards, it was my manager from like 4 jobs ago texting me saying, hey, I literally just ran out of gas on the side of the road. I just need $10 to be able to get on my way. Haven't heard from this chick in like 4 years. But I knew me sending her that $10, it wouldn't even like blip in my mind because I live in the flow and I live in abundance. So just taking action, like when you can take action, is really important for the being part too.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's being the brain, the thought.
And I had $20 in my
the
account.
thought delay.
So
That's
the other thing is, intuitively, sometimes we know, sometimes we feel compelled to do something, and then logically we tell ourselves, that doesn't make sense. Well, if you can be it, and your body knows it, and you take the action anyway, after the fact, how often do we understand and know why we did that?
The thinking comes.
The thinking comes, and so we just have to trust the process, and the only way to do that is to have a clear picture of what it is that you're pulling in, and then you don't have to question how it arrives, you just know it is. And then your steps are confident ones.
Hold of it. I had on this, a lot of my language is the dimensional hopping, the timeline shifting. This is the way I think and do and act is parallel alternate realities. And so I wanted to tell or paint a little picture of one way that it can look for me and for you, like an infinite cornfield, right? You're kind of plunked in the middle of it. We'll call this cornfield space-time, but we'll just think of it as a cornfield. So there's rows and rows and rows and rows and rows, and you're as we incarnate, we're just dropped into this thing, right? And we know, like, there's a whole bunch of other people in here, you know, and all of these things are happening. And you're on your road, and you walk, and this is your path. Now, in this, as you're capable, you can push through these rows of corn on the side. It takes energy, it takes effort, it takes intentionality. If you have no desire or will to change, you can easily and forever walk your path that you are on. Now, if you were able to, say, fly a little bit, or get high, or build a ladder, you can see all of the infinite rows, and they're all right next to each other, right? And so as you hold a vision of, say, I am wealthy, I have a nice car, whatever, that everything exists in this cornfield. You just have to pick where you want to be, right? And so as we're walking forward, you can say, all right, it's new car o'clock, right? And so you see that over here is where your new car is. You take the energy, you expend the energy to turn essentially 90 degrees, hop over into the timeline where nothing else changes except you're getting your new car. And if you continue to walk along that path, you can rest assured and confident that the new car is coming, because you're taking the actions that are required on this new path. That's the being and the acting and the surrender, essentially. If you want X to happen, you have to be the person to which X happens to, and you have to take the actions of the person that X is coming to. And as you look into the future, you get to, there's no difference, basically. There's no actual separation between the you now and the you with the new car. And so you get to feel that you have a new car right now. If you don't feel that you have a new car right now, if you don't feel that you're on the right path, so it is.
Well, there's 3 legs.
There's 3 legs.
You
If
cannot feel them, so get it
We can't hear that.
you cannot feel and still get it done because there's 3 legs. Yeah.
I've kind of looked at this thing as hard as I could look at it, and I always come back to what Christ said, seek ye first the kingdom, and all these things will be added to you. And I only need what I need today, and my needs are met today. And I already know that this whole day is already done. So my gratitude has to be for tomorrow. So I have to be grateful that God has brought to me the needs that I have for tomorrow. And I know that they're there waiting for me. Do I need a Lamborghini? I don't need one. Do I need a very wealthy looking house? I don't need one. Because first you seek the pearl, and then you let the pearl out that everybody can see your light and that they can know who you are. Because it's only in bringing God into the whole picture of everything that you do in your world that anything that you need is coming to you. And so what we have is, for me, it's a matter of need. Do I need it? If I need it, I know I'm going to get it. I have no doubt about that.
And that is a very serene and pure way of being, for sure. Just walking in the truth. This talk is about conscious creation, steering with God, kind of because we are.
I don't see it that way. It's just the way I am strictly about Christ and the Christ consciousness. I just don't need those things. We have right now probably 7 billion people in the world that are starving to death, do not have a house over their head, do not have anything. Simply because somebody wants to consciously create a mansion or consciously drive a Lamborghini. I'm not saying that it's not there. I'm not saying that you can't do that. What I am saying is that if there was less of I gotta have more and more of they need stuff too, and we can all live on this together, we might find ourselves a little bit happier every day. Why do you want to wake up every day going, I didn't go to the gym again. I didn't go to the gym again. You didn't go to the gym simply because it's probably not something that you want to do. Do the things you want to do that you feel you need to do for your soul. This is just how I see it.
The 2 legs of the stool that you are working with are the knowing and being and the action. You don't need to do the conscious choosing of what it is that you're manifesting. You're choosing to leave that leg of the stool, and that's totally fine. That is a way of doing it. You can pick any 2 legs.
It works.
But the mindset that you're talking about is for the good of all and harm to none, like pull back and we don't need to physically manifest stuff all the time. There is an evolution in the process. You do have to unravel, but everyone has their own way. And so I don't think there's a lot of value in.
Let me put it this way. Each and every one of us have access to that abundance. Even those who are starving to death and don't have a house over their head. Yeah. Correct?
Yes.
Everybody has access to that abundance. What they have to do is change their thinking.
Right.
Correct?
Right.
So our problem is working with those who need to change their thinking. All right? We don't have to do anything. But we need to look at the fact that this person is walking around on the street of Springfield, living his life and whatever he's doing. How do we really help this person? We can't buy him a car, we can't send him in a house, we can't give him enough money for him to fix his problem. You cannot fix somebody, but you can pray for them in the fact that they have the ability inside themselves to be able to change that thinking. And until they change that thinking, they're always going to be walking around the streets. You can't throw enough money at the problem. And this is what I'm saying even about the world. Okay? At the same time, if you're spending all your time worried about the next Lamborghini and the mansion you have, you don't have time for those people. You don't.
Will you let Monique chime in?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So I just...
And as far as like the not being able to throw enough money, I can see that, but also, whenever I am in a position where I am giving to someone that is in need like that, I always tell them that they're worthy. I think if you pair it, maybe that's like another 2 of the 3 or whatever, but if you pair it with just a gentle reminder, but confident, with eye contact and your heart shining at them, to them, not at them. Then it plants a seed that they are worthy, and they are worthy of abundance because they are just worthy right now.
So we have very little time to get into it. But I did have, so a lot of what I've been talking about as we use some clumsy metaphors and some clumsy examples is conscious creation individually. Now, consciously creating as we are all together is an entirely different but the same beast. Conscious creation with another individual or something that affects another autonomous individual being is something that takes a lot more care, a lot more, it requires consent, it requires equivalent energy exchange. As you create, you can just step on another being's creation itself. You can step on or kick one of the legs of their stool. You can affect other people as you try to steer. If you steer clumsily, it happens. I've sure shit done it. Like I've ran people over because I had my own stuff going on. And being able to actually work as a team in creating things is what starts the wave, is what makes it all work together. Now, say healing, individual healing. I don't require your consent to make my shoulder feel better.
But if you believe that your shoulder is healed and I believe that your shoulder is healed and we choose to see your shoulder as healed, we don't have to know how that happened.
Yes.
That's how miracles in this physical reality are made manifest, because we can believe and then just take the action, and that happens on a physical level when we understand quantum mechanics. That just physically happened.
And
we
the car hauler shows up.
Right, yes. 2 legs is all that is required.
Right, and so as we've used the metaphors of a Lamborghini or a mansion, necessarily if that sort of creation in your life and that's the way you're headed, if that takes from others, there's wrongness there. I was reading Stranger in a Strange Land, and wrongness is used a lot. I know, I grokked that. So that's the deal. Is essentially the cautionary. The caveat is consciously creating with no regard for the other conscious creators you are interacting with is dangerous and irresponsible.
I don't think you can do that and not have some guilt inside.
And
So-
it's the guilt that blocks the feeling part that actually creates what you
It's a
want.
block.
Everything requires energy, and if we take more than we need, we will know that. And we will feel overburdened by the energy because you will be drawing it from the people around you, and that can't feel good. At some point, the people around you are going to be affected by it, and they're going to tell you. Humans are real good at telling you.
It works almost like a jet ski instead of a boat. You know, a boat engine chops up the water real rough. A jet ski is an induction, an impeller, right? It pulls the water in. We are a conduit for the energy of source rather than trying to grab it all and store it up. At least it's quite a bit easier to be a pass through, and you will always see that it becomes more and more and more. But if you try to like grab it for yourself and only work for yourself, it kind of turn into a tumor. I would say it's a tumor's a metaphor that I would use that.
It's really tough on your kids after you grow.
I believe that.
I just want to say, Greg, in a sense, I probably was, my mind works, I have this problem, especially whenever you're limited with time. And so it's, I guess what I really wanted to say in that whole situation is that we just all have to work together. We just all have to understand that the person that needs us doesn't know he already has us. You know, we just can't live separated anymore, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely. I mean, yes, absolutely. I would say we go into full humanity, the as above, so below. I mean, we individually consciously create, and at the same time and in the same way, us as a society and us as a species and us as a class of beings in general, all consciously create. And so we'll go into collective stuff. I think that next week, I think that'd be great. Time for announcements, perhaps?
And there's a basket. The basket.
Put money in the basket, please.
Put it or give it, the choice is yours.
Put it or give it. Oh yeah, that was a really interesting, just a thing from Stranger in a Strange Land that I read even this morning. In one of the church services, they pass around collection baskets full of money already, and they say, give it or take it according to your need and your desire. And that really kind of stuck with me. Wanted to share, really neat. All right, announcements. Today is our Friendship Sunday potluck. All are welcome to stay after the service and enjoy food and fellowship. Meditation is tonight at 6 p.m. and is open to everyone. The Navigating Grief Support Group will meet tomorrow, July 29th. The Navigating Grief Support Group will meet tomorrow, August 5th, maybe. Someone will have to check this. But tomorrow is not July 29th. Navigating Grief Support Group. The men's group and potluck is the first Tuesday of each month, which is this Tuesday, August 6th at 6 p.m. Bring a dish and gather with other like-minded men for food and discussion. In the New Thought in World Religion class at 9:15 next Sunday, Greg and Rachel Lee will present part 2 of Conscious Creation. We'll call it Collective Conscious Creation, CCC. It's a triangle. Next Sunday at 4:30 p.m., Jean Andress will lead Practical Prayer, Energy for Healing. Participants will learn and then be able to practice methods of energy healing and energy centers. Well, it's conscious creation, right? It's all kind of tracks. All are welcome. Beginning August 15th, the mat makers will meet every Thursday. Beginning August 15th, mat makers meet every Thursday at 10 a.m. Our annual yard sale is fast approaching on August 16th and 17th. Next Sunday, we're all staying after to clear out the sanctuary and fellowship hall and bring everything in. If you are available to help with setup during the sale or cleanup, please sign up in the foyer. We will be accepting donations until August 15th. On August 18th, from 2 to 5 p.m., all are invited to help Pat and Les McClellan celebrate their 50th wedding anniversary. Woohoo! This is a come and go event here at the church, and they ask that you not bring a gift. They are also asking those attending to RSVP as soon as possible. The invitation is in the foyer. Feel free to take a picture so you have all the details. We would like to say a big thank you to Ernie, Karen, and Mike, along with Troop 24 volunteers, and all the other volunteers for the new gazebo. None of them are here, but yay, gazebo! We saw it when we walked in. That place is awesome. You can receive event information by signing up for our weekly newsletter. This is a great way to make sure you don't miss out on anything. And the Unity of Springfield Connection group on Facebook is another great way to stay informed. Those are our announcements. Thank you and good night.
Yay.